Hello everyone, I have these two little wall quilts that are ready for binding, but before I put the binding on, I wanted to add some hanging sleeves or little hooks so that I could hang them up on the wall. I did try some hand quilting for the first time. On this one I didn't use contrasting thread because it was my first one that I ever did and I didn't want it to be too visible with all the mistakes. Anyways, so for this little one, all I have here is I cut two squares of fabric at 4 by 4 inches square, and then I folded them in half to make a little triangle, and these I'm going to be putting on the top left and the top right corner, and then that way I can just stick a little rod in there when I want to hang it up. And then I'll just be doing a basting stitch to keep these on here for when I want to do the binding, and I'm just going to use my Wonder Clips. I love my Wonder Clips. There's a link to those in the description box below if you're interested. They're a pretty decent price on Amazon. All right, this one is a bit longer, so I'm going to be putting my corners pieces on, and then I'm also going to be adding little loops because when you put the rod in there, if you don't have anything to hold it there, it's just going to sag down the middle. So for these, I cut the squares a little bit bigger because this quilt is bigger, so I did 5 by 5 inch squares. And the same thing here, I'm just going to put them in the corners, and then I'm going to clip them in place so that I can go and baste them down. And then I'm going to be putting little loops. I think I'll do 2. You could probably get away with 1. You just want something there so that it doesn't sag because that wouldn't look very nice if it was hanging there. So for those loops, all I did is I took a strip of fabric that I had in my scrap bin that matched my backing, and I cut that one at 3.5 inches wide and sewed it into a tube, and then ironed it nice and flat, and then I cut them at 5 inches long. And I'm not being very precise here. I'm just folding them in half and kind of placing them what looks like they're evenly spaced out, and then I'm just going to clip them down, take everything over to my sewing machine at once, and baste everything down. I just baste them down that way when I'm sewing on my binding. I don't need to worry about them shifting around or moving out of place. It just makes it a little bit easier later on. All right, now I have them all basted on, and you can just see I have like 2 nice little pockets there. You wouldn't even have to use the same color as your backing if you didn't want to, but I just did because I had the extra fabric. I mean, it's in the back of the quilt. Nobody's going to see it, so if you had other scraps, that would be just fine. But that's what it looks like with just the 2 corner pieces. And then this one, like I said, because it's longer, you could even do all of those sleeves and then just let it pop up like that, but I wanted it like this, so I have my 2 corner pieces there, and then my 2 little loops here that I will pin into place and then sew down later on by hand. I'm just going to leave it until I'm ready to stitch my binding down because I hand stitch all my binding, and then I'll just do this at the same time. That way all my handwork is being done at once. I hope this video was helpful to you, and if you liked it, I would like it if you would give me a thumbs up. I did finish off all the binding and I put my label on and everything. This is a rod that I use to hang my quilts. I buy it at my local hardware store, and then all you would do is cut it to the size that you need. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to cut it for this because, well, we were heading out for the weekend. But this just gives you an idea. So you would just cut your rod about there and then slip it all in there, and then you could hang it up. And because you add those extra loops, it's going to hang nice and straight, no sagging. And then you could just hang it with some nails, or if you wanted to, you could use these command hooks. These are the ones that I bought at the local dollar store, and I use these for my bigger quilts, and then you can even get these smaller ones, and these are the ones that I use for my really small quilts. These are a great option if you don't want to put more holes in your walls, because I know some people prefer not to. I would rather not have too many holes in my walls. Well, here they are. They are both done. The binding is done. I sewed that on already as well. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. Until next time.